recapping the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft. Any thoughts for you out of the first 3 rounds, Terrence? We're not going to go through all the single picks, but winners, losers, and what the fuck are you doing? Type.
And I didn't really do a good job of bucketizing it as winners and losers, especially because, and I don't think I mentioned it in the context of the pod, but I think it was before we started recording. I'm not a super intense draft follower. The more
Yeah.
that we're having this conversation, the more I wonder, because I don't do any dynasty leagues. And I think if I did have a dynasty league, I would
Yeah.
probably be more interested in the draft. Like I'm not. I play regular season long fantasy and I watch regular football. So the draft is like, let me know when it's fucking September. Like I don't care
Yeah.
for the most part. But I followed along with some of it on Twitter. I think the two biggest things that I was thinking about specifically as it relates to this were, and I mean, I don't know. I feel like this is kind of a winner loser combo, but the whole thing that happened with Will Levis, is that how you say
Yeah.
his last name? I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
Levis. So on the one hand, like just the way that everything built up leading to the start of the draft, right? And all of a sudden he was going to be this like he was going to be like the king of the draft, a super early pick, and it was all noise that was like
Mm-hmm.
created by the NFL draft like media machine, right? They want to like gin up these narratives. And it's so funny because there was people all over Twitter who are like, if you asked anybody that watched him play last year, no one would have told you that. Like no one
Yeah.
believes that he's going to go that high in the draft. But it was this thing that was like artificially created. So I think I mean, I'm glad that he ended up not falling completely out. Like he went at the very beginning of the second round. He found a pretty decent landing spot with the Titans if they
Mm-hmm.
can figure out what the fuck they want to do in their quarterback room because they seem to be confused over the past couple of seasons. Like there's been a lot of quarterback activity for the Titans. So as long as all that kind of gels and comes together, I think that's a win for them. I think it's definitely a win for him that he found that good landing spot. And I guess a loss for the media's attempt to spin that narrative, right? Because they kind of like set him up to fail, and the fact that he didn't, I think, is kind of a good news story.
Yeah.
Um, the only other big picture thought I have is, and Matt's going to be really, really excited about this, and this isn't even just my opinion of their draft; it's my opinion of their whole offseason so far. The Eagles are going to fuck next year, dude. Like,
Yeah.
whew, they are going to be a hard team to beat in the NFC. I love every move they made in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
I love every free agent move they've made this offseason. There's not a single thing that front office has done that I've looked at with any kind of side eye. The only thing that they did was take a Super Bowl contender and make it more threatening on the front of the ball and the back of the ball, which is
Yeah.
pretty impressive. Like I read a tweet earlier today that was that was basically saying that the Eagles front office basically put together what was it, Alabama's offense and Georgia's defense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, fuck. Good luck, everybody. So lots of love for the Birds because, like, holy shit, I think they're early offseason winners as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. I think couple winners that I like out of the first 3 rounds. Obviously, the Eagles, I think that's an easy one. You get Jalen Carter, and you just keep, I don't know, like you said, it's just like, who's the next guy on the draft board from Georgia? Who's the next
Yep.
guy from Bama? Right. And it's like, kind of makes sense. Like they know how to play together. They play tough nosed defense like no other.
Yep.
Um, and you're gonna go to Philly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So um Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, that's a big win. Um, but I think that one's easy. The one, it's good for the future of the team, but it kind of depends. So and it pains me because it's the Seattle Seahawks. So the Seattle Seahawks go and get the number one corner after they had the number 1, 2-ish corner last year, also, right? So they hit in the draft. Dude's playing just as good as Sauce Gardner. And then they go out and say, you know what? We're going to take care of the other side. So their corners are lockdown corners. They're going to be freaking fantastic, bringing back a little bit of the no-fly zone type of thing or whatever like that. And then they get Jackson Smith-Njigba, probably the best wide receiver out of this entire class as well, to go alongside DK Metcalf. The issue is that they have Geno Smith as a quarterback, and people
Mhm.
look at Geno Smith last year and like, oh, Geno, this, and it's like he's Geno Smith. This is
Mhm.
a flash in the panty 1 year type of thing.
Yep.
And when it came down to it, they didn't even do anything. You got smoked.
Yep.
Like you're trying to, and so unless they make another move to get a quarterback in that room quick,
Mhm.
and something out of next year where there's a big quarterback class to move up and grab one of those guys, like is DK Metcalf still going to be there by the time Geno's contract is done? Is
Mhm.
Jackson Smith-Njigba going to be like, I got to bring up, I had to work with this dude. Now I got to bring up a rookie quarterback. Like, get the fuck out of here. I'm going to go somewhere else and compete like San Francisco.
Yep.
And then they sure up some outside linebacker help there. And to cap off the back end of I think it's the back end of the second round,
Mhm.
right? Yeah. They end up with Zach Charbonnet, right,
Mhm.
from UCLA, who's a pretty damn good, decent running back. So, losing Rashad Penny, hey, that guy can't stay healthy. They got some other pieces there that they've had, right? I mean, they just had uh fucking Walker, and so he's a dog. So it's like, why are you bringing in this guy? But hey, everybody's got two backs going, and you got two backs. It's probably better than one. So, um, sure some of that stuff up. Maybe you take some Kenneth Walker stock and build him up, trade him away, get ahead up in the draft or whatever
Mhm.
you try to do, right? So,
Yep.
um, I think a lot of people are shitting on Tennessee. They're only doing it because they took Will Levis.
Mhm.
That's the only reason people are doing that, right? But that kind of makes me want to have Will Levis in Dynasty.
Mhm.
Um, good organization, good coaching around it, focused on the running game. His problem is that it's not his talent and his ability and what he can do, but it is that he literally was just getting smacked every single play, and he
Mhm.
doesn't know how to get rid of the ball, protect his body, and stuff like that. So maybe being in the NFL around some guys like, hey man, don't live to play another down or whatever like that. So
Mhm.
like if you Google right Will Levis finger, and then you look at those pictures, and it's like, like you can hear his finger saying, "Hey, you guys!" Right? It's that ugly. But the dude just plays, but he does play hurt, and he'll play through it, and he grinds it out. He's a baller. I think he could be fairly decent quarterback. I think he's way better than Anthony Richardson, who, um, for some reason, the Colts ended up taking number 4 overall. So, but yeah, there's that. Losers, I don't know. The Niners pick a fucking kicker in the third round. Like, yeah, he's the best kicker, but the son of a bitch is from fucking Michigan. So I don't like the guy already, but I mean, he could kick. Robbie Gold wants to go live closer to home where he's from
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So they don't really have a kicker. They needed one, but I think New England took one early too. But I
Mhm.
mean, come on. Like the Niners just are like, hey, we don't really have a gap to fill. Let's get our kicker and we'll figure it out the rest of the way. I wish the Niners would have traded some of those picks, seeing
Yeah,
as
you
how
feel
their
like they
team
could
is
have.
now.
You feel like they could have done something either strategic with the picks or, um, I don't know. Like I get that you're trying to fill gaps, but also like
Yeah.
take the best off the board then, if nothing else. Like if you're not
Yeah.
going to trade the picks, don't burn it on a kicker. If you're
Yeah.
insistent on taking it, at least just take off the board. And if it's somewhere where you already have good coverage, you took the best off the board. Trade that player later, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I think they should have. If I wish the Niners would have traded into next year's draft a lot.
yeah,
Um, Niners are going to come up on contracts. The dudes are going to need to start, drafting people and seeing what
yep,
people got or whatever like that. So, and then who knows what happens with Brock Purdy this coming up year, right? And then if the
mhm.
Niners have to stick to fucking Sam Darnold, Jesus Christ, get me out of here. So, there's that. And the what the fuck are you doing is for me, my what the fuck are you doing is the Baltimore Ravens. This is an abysmal franchise that's heading down the road of the Washington Commanders in my eyes. Um, you have your fallout stuff with Lamar Jackson, then Jalen Hurts
Mhm.
gets his contract, then you give Lamar Jackson the contract after you sign OBJ, who knows what the hell this is going to do.
Yeah.
Um, Apparently, rumor mill, Lamar Jackson was like, get me both him and D Hop or whatever like that. And we could
Mhm.
talk. And they said, hey, we can only afford one. They got OBJ. But then, you know, to say, hey, Lamar, we're trying to get you some help, right? We're trying to get you some help. First round, number 23 overall pick, ranked number 2 at the position because the dude's blazing fast. 5'9", 182-pound out of Boston College, Zay Flowers. You can do a lot of things and get away with a lot of things in college. In the NFL, there ain't that many 5'9" wide receivers out there who are taking press coverage off of a corner or a nickel back or something like that. That dude, a lot of stuff. He's not afraid to go over the middle. He can make catches, and then after the catch and all the ability, all this kind of stuff. He's super blazing fast. Like, not to say Tyreek Hill fast, but that's what people think of when, hey, look, this guy can do with the ball in his hands or whatever like that.
Yep.
Yeah, let that dude go to Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, in a cold weather and run a drag and just get fucking cracked over the middle by a linebacker who's just waiting for that dude and say, welcome to the NFL. And then he doesn't go over the middle anymore. Congratulations, Baltimore. You got your guy, a 5'9" wide receiver. Jesus Christ. Anyways.
It's a choice.
Yeah. That's that.